Welcome in, everybody. It is season 4 Cannabis Conversation, powered by our friends at Green Lane Communication. If you don't know Mikey and the team, get started. Check them out. You want to be seen, heard, and remembered when it comes to PR. As the shirt says right here, folks, great press never dies. Head over to greenlanecommunication.com. Get started and find out where they're the best in the game. Today's show is a fun one for me because it intersects my life in the car business with my life in the cannabis business for someone who's taken a chance to sort of, in the world of advertising, in this sort of background world where it's difficult to get permits, it's difficult to do all these things, but it's also difficult to advertise your brand in ways that most people don't ever deal with. So I'm excited for today's guest, Will Reed, CEO of Canna Planners. Matt, how are you today?
Yeah, what a pleasure to be here. I really appreciate you having me. What an
It's
awesome
awesome.
introduction.
We're excited to have you. We're excited to hear your story. I mean, you jump out with this company in 2016. I know there's a lot of story leading up to it. So let's start with the origin story, Will. Where did you first come in contact with this wonderful plant?
Well, I'll tell you, buddy. And I just want to, the way we'll get into my usage of the plant is by, now we've never actually formally met. This is the first time we're talking. I don't know anything about you, but I can tell that you have good taste just by simply observing everything around you. And I want to draw specific attention to that book sitting on your table because I got it right here, brother. I got that same book
Yeah, yeah,
right here.
yeah,
All
yeah.
right. And I will say that maybe like yourself, I don't know anything. Again, I know nothing about you. I
Right.
I, I try to remain humble and non-presumptuous, but I'm going to presume that you and I have similar origin stories, and that this book right here may have had a little bit to do with how we both got this train rolling. Am I wrong? Am I right?
There's absolutely no doubt in the world. It is as much a part of the story as the first time the neighbor's buddy and I decided to get high with a foiler boiler, from his brother's stash. Like yeah,
Well, I saw that. I'm
it's
like, I think we have the same story, but
yeah.
basically, it boils down to, it's a couple things. It's music and Boy Scouts. All right, I was in Boy Scouts as a kid, and my Boy Scout troop was like the Bad News Bears. Like, we were like, we weren't dorky Boy Scouts. We were all in it to go skiing and basically get in trouble, right?
Yeah.
And as we got older, as we grew into boy men, men scouts, young men scouts, we started having a little bit more fun on those ski trips and on those camping adventures, and cannabis was a part of that. My first introduction was an older Boy Scout who was like, "Hey, Will, like, you like the Grateful Dead, right? I know you do. Like, do you know about pot yet?" And I was ready. There was like no, I'm deaf. I'm an elder millennial, so I'm sure this is a big part of everybody's story that you talk to. But I grew up with the people from Dare trying to brainwash me, and when they passed around that the suitcase full of drugs, I was always trying to figure out like how to get into it. It didn't scare me.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, Will,
so
you are the. I mean, this is. I think we were like. I think we're
yeah,
batting 1,000 on the season with the actual specific mention of
of the
Dare.
case. Oh,
And it's outstanding to hear it because I, like you, was like, wait, I'm actually more curious now that you put all this, weird stigma around it. And I don't really get that. So I want to know more about it. So yeah, Dare. So Will, did you grow up in the Vermont area? Is that where your origin story is
no,
from?
no, I'm from Rhode Island, so I'm a New Englander.
Okay, all right, but
Uh,
this is what's great, right? So I
yes.
really thought up until I recorded this season, I really thought the Dare Influence and Fear was really a Midwest mom fear
Oh
monger
no,
group. I really did.
no,
And
no, no,
now
no, no.
people like we just had Evan Rodriguez, and he was like, "Look, dude, yeah." So I was in LA, and I'm like, "Oh wait, LA? What the fuck? Hold on, And now here you are, Rhode Island. I'm just like, okay, wow, everyone's here, like it's all dealing with it. So
I don't want
Dare
to get. I don't
Dare
want to get too.
intrigues you then, Will.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And I don't want to get too ahead of the thing here, but Dare influenced um, my perceptions of why I thought a company like Canna Planners might be important, because I was part of a large generation of people who were actively brainwashed, and propagandized about with scare tactics with things about drugs that just simply not true, and that led to a big part of the initial like mission statement for Canna Planners. We'll get to it. I don't want to get too far ahead of it.
Well, no,
I'm
I
gonna
mean,
let you
look,
steer
it's
the
to me,
ship,
it's
but
all part of the same story. So, tell it as it is, right? I mean, if what we're talking about influences the decision that you've made today in your business, like I said, you're a guy who went off, started his own gig. Like, let's hear it. Let's put it together. So for you with that part of it though, like you said it like it was something that was necessary. What part of it? What is the driver for you to really push on that lever?
well, before millennials and Gen Xers, there were baby boomers, and baby boomers were also brainwashed by, Nixonian politics, for sure, the Reagans, like this started with them. Like a lot of the, uh, socioeconomics of those days were obviously still based on drugs, right? So there was a multiple generations of people who were scared of drugs and thought drugs were going to turn your brain into a fried egg. And um, this was so. As I was thinking about what in my entrepreneurial states pre starting Cannaplanners, I'm trying to think of like what's my superhero cape? Like what am I fighting for here? And it boiled down to normalization and trying to remove a lot of that stigma in the way that I could, which was through marketing and through specifically creative and trying to create an ethos at Cannaplanners that tried to avoid things that uh, you know kept propagating those stigmas, like a certain imagery or certain color
Yeah.
swaths or names of companies. All of those things kind of were uh even the green cross to an extent. Like a lot of these things were played, and meanwhile there's a whole other trope of things that have since become played in the last 10 years. But I thought there were ways to help the emerging industry reach a customer that wasn't me, right? I was already a weed smoker. Like I was going to go into this dispensary no matter what. But I recognized that as as the industry opened and people dove in to start companies, specifically like producers or retail, um, they were only speaking to me and not even me. Like uh, but me, I already drank the Kool-Aid. I was a customer, but they weren't thinking about the rest of
Yeah.
the rest of the not me,
Yeah.
what we call the total addressable market, right? The TAM, right? It's way bigger than stoners, right?
Yeah.
Your everyday pre-roll
Yeah.
guy, which
Yeah.
I am. I'll walk in and buy a pre-roll every day almost from
Yeah.
my local dispensary. But
Got
I'm not the total addressable market. I'm the low-hanging fruit. I'm going to come in because you do have weed. I don't need to be re-educated, but most people do.
It's the education piece that I think is really what people get lost in when it comes to marketing, right? Well, I think people forget that marketing in its truest form is a funnel. You have a high, you have a mid, you have a low. The goal has to all pull the same way on the rope, right? But that takes vision, it takes time, it takes patience. And I know in my world, it's tough to come by in automotive. I assume it is the same for other people in other industries, just like anyone in the cannabis as well. For you and the way that you set things up, you talk about breaking that stigma. What are you like right now? How are you approaching talking to your clients as this spot evolves with everything that's going on in that ad space? Like, what does that recommendation piece look like for you right now?
Mm. For us, it's a holistic approach. It's think about your voice, your messaging, what you look like. It's think about how that translates to in-store experience. It translates to how that relates to the digital experience. Uh, for us, since we I mean, this, right? You're working in digital marketing in and outside of cannabis, right? So you know that your marketing channels are almost endless. Like your digital marketing channels. There's
Yeah.
a zillion things that you can do. There's a zillion levers that you can pull. But in
Mhm.
this industry, there aren't. There's a specific few that you can pull. On the physical side as well, but on the digital side. So what we aim to do, like and it's not necessarily a sales tactic. It's just this is one of the things I'll say, Sean, like coming into this is the business acumen. There was a lot of work for me to do in terms of business acumen. There's a lot of education for me to do on, like, especially in those early days on the sales cycle, wherein I'm teaching people about the internet and about Google search and showing them Google Analytics, like literally, like teaching them about the internet. You know, in
Yeah.
in the late 2010s. But regardless, like because we're still doing this federally illegal thing, and maybe because a lot more reasons than just that, we are only allowed access to certain channels. We can only pull certain levels. So again, CannaPlanners aims to when we're in this like the sales cycle discovery, like we want it to be a holistic approach for us because and because we stick to these specific things, right? We know it's a recipe that will, in this instance, like generally work.
See, and I think there's value to that because, you know, in my world, in automotive, it is endless. There is anywhere you can go,
Yeah.
you know, average car dealer spends 30,000 a month, okay,
Yeah.
that we deal with on advertising.
Uh-huh.
Because of that, they all want to go to all of those places. And so that doesn't, I think some days I wake up, I wish they only had three choices so that you could actually
I
sit
bet.
and watch and be a part of, you know, seeing where growth happens. And it doesn't, again, it's not like direct attribution in automotive is like the silliest pipe dream known to man. But yet, and many try, but many are frustrated by it. And it frustrates the people who spend the money because they hear it. When you hear about what people you deal with, I assume there is an attribution. There is a show me how I made money with your advertising, Will. Is this something you hear in your job,
Oh
or is
yeah.
that still not a thing yet? People aren't that
Oh my
worried that they
God, no.
can't advertise.
No, it's definitely a thing for sure because we're dealing with businesses from, pre-revenue to, multiple locations. And for sure, like regardless of where the client fits on that spectrum, like they have to know that if they're on, the pre-revenue side that they're bootstrapping, because a lot of them are,
Mm-hmm.
that their revenue that the expense is worth something, right? And it's hard you know there's so many marketing channels that are like, I don't know, billboards, okay. Like go for it. um
Yeah. But like to your point, you've got to be able to think outside the box, and because you have that small window of places you can go. You talk about the physical side, right? Maybe outside of digital marketing, and I'm drawn to the fact of billboards, which
yeah,
is funny because I live in a prohibition state, but the further you get towards the Michigan border, the more billboards you see, or the more you get to the Illinois border, the more billboards you see.
sure.
Billboard seems like a decent play. Will, is that, do you see any value in some of that right now as it sits with just an
I'm
avenue to go?
They're great. I mean, I definitely, we don't deal with them personally, but like I think they're great, especially for like, we have clients who do like the 420 yards off the highway,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
yeah, like those are great. They're fun. I think they add to, just maybe the kitschiness of a particular brand. But what I was going to say is like, to your earlier question about the data pieces, yes, like if a customer's bootstrapped, they're conscious of budget. If a customer is opening their 10th dispensary, they're conscious of budget and they want to make sure that what they're doing is it works. And I think also you kind of alluded to this, but I think like this is probably going to sound really obvious, but like the difference between automotive digital marketing and cannabis digital marketing
Yeah.
is one of them isn't federally illegal and has been around. The automotive industry has been around for, call it, 80 years basically as we know it, today, something like that, give or take. The internet's been around for going on 40 years, and automotive has been a part of it since the beginning of that. We're like, Colorado just, I mean, I think they just celebrated 10 years.
Yeah.
Like, That's a blink of an eye. We have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
So like what's happening is like there's a lot of traditional marketing companies coming in and attacking cannabis as if it were a traditional CPG, like
Right.
automotive.
Right.
Um, and it's just not. And it's for all of these reasons I'm talking about. It's like if you went into Wisconsin as a prohibitionist state and you went to your neighbor's house and you were like, yo man, you know where I can get a Chevy? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a totally different scenario than when you're like, hey man, like you want to go to Illinois and like go to, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it's a totally different
Yeah.
experience. Totally,
It is. No,
nothing's the same.
you're
Right? I
totally
mean, it
right. And
sounds so obvious, but I'm saying like a lot of most businesses in this space and marketing agencies coming into this space are thinking like traditional businesses are approaching cannabis as if it were just a CPG. Um, and it ain't yet. It
and
ain't
no,
yet because of that total addressable market that's missing. Excuse me,
agreed.
my
And
headphones
because
are loud.
again, you still don't have all the pieces. You still don't have all, like I said, automotive has every piece it wants to go to, from Google to TV to OTT. I mean, anywhere it wants to go, it can go.
Supply chain.
Right. It does not matter, right? It can be a
Right.
part of it. And so for you to see that, and people don't really, you've said it out loud, I've said it out loud on the show already too, that like, guys, it's been like 10 years. Like, let's give this has never happened in anyone's lifetime. Unless you've got 100-year-old grandparent who can explain to you about prohibition. Other than that,
Right.
like we're past that point. So this is all new.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
people don't have enough patience in general. And then when they apply it to this, it's like, well, because you spend big money, you expect big. It's not always like that. So, Will, in your
Yeah.
world with that, there are channels that work. There's only channels you can go to, right? In
Right.
that way, what are, for folks who are, maybe trying to do a little DIY, where are you tracking your data? Where are you looking at information,
Yeah.
to help people understand the value of anything they might be doing, whether it's a website or an ad or anything?
Yeah, I mean, you said it already. It's GA and like everything, and because like so our core set of services on the digital, so, we're a creative agency as well, but on the digital side, we do a couple things, man. We build websites on an e-commerce. We're a WordPress agency, so we built our own e-commerce theme for dispensaries specifically. Um, a lot of my colleagues who run similar companies are utilizing a lot of out of the box stuff. And we wanted to build something very specific, something tailored for this industry. So we have a specific product uh, for retailers and brands. We build websites. And then on the post launch sort of service side, we're acquisition and retention. So it's SEO. And it's managing platforms like Alpine IQ or Dutchy Loyalty, Klaviyo, those sorts of things for our customers. It's minimizing their need to become experts in certain aspects of their tech stack, because it's what we do every day. So on the data side, a lot of this is happening right in GA4. Um, Basically, everything's happening in GA4 in terms of how we report. We're currently building out a it's beautiful, man. It's a beautiful data dashboard that's going to pull in not only all the web information and all the conversion metrics for all the SEO work we do, but it's going to pull in Google Business information. It's going to pull in Alpine IQ information. It's going to pull in like everything right in one POS information. So people are going to be able to, because that's what I was going to say. It's like because people are attacking this like CPG, that's like the tech stack is crazy right now, and everybody's in, and everybody's excited, and everybody's got the coolest new sexy piece of SaaS, equipment to make your dispensary money.
No.
And some of them are bullshit, and and a lot of them are great. So it's just about what can we do to minimize the friction, because our customers release are getting inundated with the hot new thing, and we just want to make sure like, hey, this is the tool, your website, this is the digital storefront, so to speak. We're just going to get customers, we're going to get as many eyes on it. You're gonna give them an amazing experience, which is, I know you want to talk about Apple, and that is a big part of my Apple ethos experience. We're going to send you all this traffic. You're going to convert them through the amazing in-store experience. And then we're going to be on them, talking to them, making sure that they're still engaged post-transaction. So it's a lot of reporting. Most of my team is on the phone all day reporting to our customers on their successes and opportunities.
Yeah, that's again, man, to hear it from that perspective, and again, knowing what I deal with in automotive and the tech stack stuff is something that,
dude, I can't even imagine what you have to deal with an
well, that's right. Well,
automotive.
that's how we started the company, because dealers are being inundated, 30, 40 calls a week from a new vendor. And
I
so
can't even imagine.
We just said, look, we'll take all those calls. Like, we already know the products. We already know the people behind them. Like, let's just hear people out. We were listening to, I still do it. I mean, I get a client will call me every week. Hey, can you sit with this vendor? Fine, whatever. And you said something like, hey, there's some shitty ones, and then most of them are good. Like, nah, I actually don't believe that, Will. I
was being diplomatic. It's probably the other way around.
It is the other way, and you are diplomatic, and I appreciate that. And I'm not, right? And I make a living out of being not. And so for me, it's something that I already know is something that I can see watching, social, where you see, founders talking. I can already see them wasting time, resource, and energy on shiny objects that will do nothing to change their business, that will do nothing to help them move the needle. And it drives me up a fucking wall. And so it can be hard to watch. And again, I get shit for it all the time. I don't make a living in cannabis that way. I help out people with some bridge loans in the background, get their dispensary started. I mean, I've been doing that for like almost a decade, but that's it. I make a living in automotive. I do this podcast. This podcast does not make a living. Anyone wondering, this is a hobby. This is something to bring people together, tell stories.
Yeah. Do you owe me money? Speaking of,
yeah. It's not what this is. So it's, again, you have to like understand that the shiny object is a shiny object, but you can't do that without being informed. And it's really great to hear that you're out trying to help advise in that world, because I think it takes a lot of other people, as you said, like, why waste time trying to be an expert in something that is so beyond what you need to worry about when doing your business? Like, if you turn it over to experts, people you can trust, I think that's a really cool deal, Will. I'm glad to hear that. I did want to talk about your Apple background. But
just real quick, the trust part is the most important thing. Like the integrity. Like, I say this all the time when we hire usually like if during the hiring process, I'm like, the last person that person, I'm the last person that interviewee speaks to before they get hired. If they're talking to me, they're probably going to get hired. Right. And one of the things I say frequently to them is like, listen, like, you got through to me because you're great at SEO, or you're an amazing developer, or whatever. But you're going to get this job because you have integrity and that you're cool. Like, the idea of being cool is like really important in this company. And that doesn't, that's not, necessarily like wearing sunglasses inside, which I will do because I have a bright light on me, but it does mean like, be empathetic. Remember that we're dealing with humans and human emotions, and new business, and those humans are building new companies. Like, there's a lot happening. It's frenetic energy. And one of the things we aim to do here, and this will take us to your Apple question, is in the same way I said this before, like, I say this to my customers, like, this is important to Canna Planners, which is we are providing an experience. We, despite like on paper what we're doing, like not being that sexy, right? We're nerds, like coding and like, drinking Red Bulls. But like, what is important is that we remember the human connection, like the impact of what we're doing, right? And how we need to be supportive and almost be like a part of that company's company. You know what I mean? Like, the experience we deliver, even if it's just going through GA4, man, which, like, shoot me in the head. Nothing is more boring than that. But like, it's important that an experience is tailored around it, that we're showing how those metrics have led to like cool experiences in the store. Like, what happened on this day? Like, we're seeing something like, like what, all of those things, like you create an experience around what we're trying to do, which is just help businesses grow their business. Right.
Yeah.
And that again, ethos comes from Apple.
I was going to say, I don't really even have to ask the Apple question, because I was going to ask, what's your biggest takeaway from your time at Apple?
Yeah.
You've
It's
made
two
it
things.
abundantly clear what that
Well,
is
there's
and it's
two things.
experience. Oh, what's the other one?
There's two things, and it's sales. So my approach to sales uh hmm, is, I don't want to say nonchalant, but it is not pressure. I am not your traditional sales guy. I am a relationship builder, and that was so important when I started working for Apple. The economy had just fallen out. Like, I was working in the music industry, and the music industry, like, whatever was left of the music industry, like post Napster, was like fucking toast, right? So like I was like, what do I do? And I went to retail, at age 28 or whatever. I was like, I gotta go like be a retail guy. But I got a job at Apple. And it was like, honestly, professionally speaking, the best thing that ever happened to me. So I was never like a sales guy. And growing up, my dad was always like, "You're gonna be a salesman, kid." And then I was like, "What?" Like, what do you like? In my brain, I thought he was calling me an asshole. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I heard him say. Right. So, but when I started working at Apple, I was taught how to sell a solution, not necessarily a product. How to create an experience, how to educate and take what can be a daunting experience, buying a $2,000 machine. Like I started working there right around iPhone 3 or something like that. So early, right around the release of the first iPad, right? So there were all these things and they're super expensive. It's like, what, I'm gonna pay $4,000 for this tat. Like, what does it even do? And I'm like, I have no fucking clue, but isn't it so cool? Like, let's check it out. I don't know. Let's figure it out together. Like, that was part of the fun part, in terms of like, oh, I understand what being a salesperson means now. It means creating a relationship. Like, I want to close a deal, but I'm going to close like 100 deals today, and they don't all have to be top of the line, biggest hard drive, like whatever, like the most expensive thing we sold. Like, sometimes I'd be like, you know what, you don't even need this. You should go get a flip phone, like down, like, you don't need this thing. Like, or they'd come in and be like, I want the most expensive thing. And I'm like, nah, dude, you know, like, let's save you a couple grand or whatever. Like, that was empowering to me, because it took so much pressure off me, in terms of like, oh, I don't have to meet a quota. Like, I'm just going to be myself, and people are going to buy stuff off me all the time. And in fact, they're going to come back and buy more stuff off me. That's exactly what happened. So I learned how to sell and how to create relationships, but also I took this ethos of experience. Like, I think the Apple store is kind of played at this point, but when I was working there, it was like,
There was nothing shinier. There was nothing cooler than a retail experience there. I mean, I grew up in retail. I spent my whole life in retail until I started my company, basically. And so it's something that I get what you're saying. I did it the same
yeah,
way. I took a lot of
totally.
shit for it. I mean, I grew up in the Chicago car business, and being nonchalant and being someone who's like, no, I'm good, cost me a lot of arguments. But at the end of the day, it ends up making me more money, more car deals, because people are expecting something they didn't get. And when you deliver in an opposite way, right? When someone expects a shitty experience buying a car, and they meet someone who's like, cool, I don't buy a car, don't buy a car, it's cool with me, have a good day. It's an
Yes.
attitude that can be helpful. It can put people
Yeah,
at
I
ease.
know I've got the best cars, and I know I'm the best car salesman. Like, I know I'm the guy to get you the best thing.
Yeah,
Like, that's fact. But like, I'm not. It's totally cool. Like, whatever you want, it's totally fine. Like, I'm here to
totally
help you.
fine. Like, I
Like,
don't care.
that's
Yeah.
exactly. Obviously, it's a little different than that, but that's the sort of the attitude here. It's like, hey, this is what we do. We're really good at it, and also like, we're gonna like have a lot of fun doing this,
Yeah.
and we're going to support each other like through all of this, and it's going to be work, but we're going to show results, and we're going to have a good time doing it for sure, right? And that's important to like, that's why my employee, I hope, I know that's why one of the reasons my employees love working here is because like, a lot of my employees come from automotive too. So, my co-founder, Zach, is from dealer.com. A lot of my employees are from dealer.com. One of my investors is the founder of dealer.com. Like, I can barely drive a car, so not me. Everybody else in this company is heavily steeped in automotive. And a lot of the principles of like car, a dealership near me, and the experience of buying a car, there are similarities that, like, for sure there's similarities there. At least the best practices of how to like optimize websites, drive traffic, like they're very similar, but the experience I bring to them, like from automotive here, because like it's far more cutthroat. The automotive, I mean, you just said it. The automotive SaaS world is like insane,
Yeah.
right? So like these guys, the team from who I've hired from dealer who come here are ready for that cutthroatness, and I just dull their knife a little bit. Like I want them to be ambitious, and I want them to be ambitious,
Yeah, but I mean,
100%.
them talking to cannabis clients versus them talking to dealerships,
Oh,
it's
okay,
a
yeah.
it's a world of difference of discussion and
Yes.
situation, and that's great to hear that people are making the cross. Again, there's a huge cross. The only difference between the two is the legality portion of it. That's really it. Other than that, it's
Yeah,
a commodity. People probably buy cannabis far more frequently than cars. But the point is
definitely.
they're expecting
I
something.
do.
They're expecting a delivery of a process. Let's do this. We're going to hop into our hot hits here as we wrap things up with you today, Will.
Cool.
I want to start with the new news here recently with Google and ads for cannabis in Canada.
Yeah.
Will, what say you on this topic?
I'm excited about it. So Google Ads used to be, a big source of revenue for us. We used to gray hat Google Ads like crazy. It would give us secondary production revenue because cannabis, we'd have to have a secondary ad site to drive ad traffic to. But we made a lot of customers a lot of money. We did really well with that as a service tier for us. And then about, I don't know, maybe a year ago, maybe not a year ago, we stopped doing it. And Google's pretty tight-lipped. It's hard to get a handle on exactly how they update the algorithm. But we caught word through from some of our partners, our Google certified partners, that the ad algorithm was going to change and it was going to go deeper into the site, which would take them to the original site and which could cause some damage. It could ruin domain authority. It could
Yeah.
tarnish email deliverability. Like there's a lot of, they could lose Google business pages. Like there were a bunch of heavy implications that gave us pause and led us back to that. We were going back to our integrity, basically our values, and said, do we cancel this revenue stream? It's big. It's multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Like it's crazy. Do we do it for the protection of our customers in the same way? Like when they ask us to manage their social media, we're like, no way. Like that's just a liability. So we stopped doing it. Okay, context. With your hot take on the news, like I'm stoked about it. I'm
Yeah.
really excited about it. My understanding is I have to read into it a little more. I've read 2 articles about it only right now, and my understanding is like the buzz I'm seeing on LinkedIn, which I may have added to a little preemptively. Um, our grasp of it isn't fully fleshed out. So like I think that Google is doing this for a very short window. They're only piloting it with a certain group of businesses.
Yep.
But regardless, like I'm psyched. I'm really excited
It's
about it. I think it's
it's
cool.
actually, to me, it's really exciting because at the end of the day, there's going to be more to it. They're going to continue anything they start with a beta, anything they start with a small group, control group. That's how they've been doing it in automotive forever. And they
Yeah.
just keep adding, and the product keeps growing and growing and growing. And there's some stuff they're doing a lot of AI advertising, as you know, and some of that stuff can be a little bit muckier than I'd like for it to look in GA4, and some of its behavior looks like a robot. And so there's a lot of shit I don't
Yeah.
like about some of the newer things that they've done. But I'm excited for it. When you talk about
Yeah.
managing a client's social media, that's crazy. I agree with you. But what do you think of like how are you advising clients to deal with like the shadow banning and the removals and the this and the that? Like, Will, what is the
Yeah,
social
dude.
media recommendation from Will where Will sits?
Yeah, I tell them to think about social media. I was like, do you remember when Facebook was first invented or when Twitter was first invented? And it used to be like, Will is, and then there was a long line underneath it that you'd fill in like in the form. You remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah, for sure.
it was like yeah. Anyway, so I was like, you have to think about it in that terms. Like, you have to be, first of all, cannabis, no. The algorithm sees cannabis. It knows what the word is. Like, it sees it in your images. It knows what you're doing at all times. The algorithm sees literally everything. So, um, my advice is always like, don't, it's become so, and I'm not saying it's not important, it's hugely important. It's become so important to us just generally as a society. Social media is for a lot of people their only connection to other people, maybe the outside world. Like, it's how they get news. Like, people are scrolling all day
Mhm.
long. Like, that's fact. uh Regardless of that, Meta, specifically TikTok for sure, they don't want illicit drug use, whether or not it's heroin or cannabis, on their website because of uh, child safety, essentially. So my advice is, like, don't take it too seriously. Like, use it as a social, like, validation, like social proof. Validate the social proof. Like, use it as a culture builder. And I've learned this lesson too. So CannaPlanners has been shadow banned multiple times. They're used to, when I first started our Instagram account, our social pages, I used it like any other professional. I'd be like, hey, here's a cool website we launched this week, or like, check out this logo we developed, or
Yeah,
here's a cool SEO tip, blah blah blah. Like, no one gives a shit, right?
yeah.
And then, because I was getting shadow banned because I was talking about cannabis, and sometimes I would like smoke weed in a video or something like that, like, our rankings started to fall. So I started creating content, and I'll encourage everybody to follow my stupid ass on Instagram at CannaPlanners. But like, I opted to use social media as a platform to create content that was satirical, poking fun at the industry, for sure, poking fun at myself. Um, not even talking about cannabis, not really. Maybe very deep innuendo, but using it as a piece to, like, a window into the culture of Canna Planners, right? So that's social proof. So here's what I mean. Like, a person's going to go onto the internet, and they're going to look for who makes the best websites for dispensaries, and maybe they'll find my website, and they'll go onto it and they'll research my company. Then they'll go to my LinkedIn and they'll see that I'm not some crazy person, and then they'll go to my Instagram page, or our yeah, not TikTok anymore, but our Instagram page, and they'll see the reels that we put out, and they're silly and they're fun. And my hope is that it's an indication to people watching on the sales funnel side, that, like, these guys are fun, they're smart, they're approachable, they're tongue in cheek in their social media approach, and you know, it's for sure not much business. Um, but anyway, to your question, it's like, I'm not telling people to follow what I do, but I'm saying what I do is not talk about cannabis. I'm giving an insight into me as a person, what my personality is, like, my intellect, however you kind of interpret that, like, however high or low you think that is, like, uh, you're then being validated in your decision to work with Canna Planners because you see that we're smart and fun and approachable, or whatever you take away from our Instagram feed. Maybe it's that we're idiots.
Look, dude, I was just about to say to you, like, you're very positive about your approach. I like how you approach it. We actually started our social media. My team finally came to me and said I had to go on social media, and I said, fine, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to use it in a backwards way to the sales funnel. And they're like, what do you mean?
Yes.
I'm going to, if you watch my content and you continue to watch my content, then you're
Yeah.
not offended by it. If you're offended by it, that's why I don't have to waste my time talking to you.
Right.
So you'll get to know and see who we are, and in a way where it was like, I don't want to deal with people, but you, of course, will. I love your softer approach, which is like, look, you'll see that we're good people. You want to work with us, and so the point is, there's so many different ways to use social media,
It's the
and being
experience. It's all in the, like, if you're thinking about the sales funnel, the experience starts at discovery,
that's it.
when, like, I either cold call you and you pick up the phone and I'm like, waka waka,
Yeah.
or all the way through to, like, the contract being signed and us kicking off a project. Like, every step of that journey, especially in the discovery, like, the discovery is where, and we're talking sales right now, but that discovery period is where, like, you can make or break it. That first impression is real, right? So develop an experience, develop an ethos, have a set of values, and stick to them, right? And they can evolve for sure as your company grows, but, like, stick to them and be and act with integrity, because your customers will see through it the second you are not authentic.
Well, that's an actually great place to leave it, man. I mean, that what a
Mic
wrap
drop.
up, mic drop. I mean, just be authentic, be who you
Be
are,
authentic.
and represent it, man. Very, very well said. Thank you so much for making the time. Thank you so much for enlightening me to the other side of what I know in my world, and then what you see, in your world, and what that's all about. I think you're doing a great thing out at Canna Planners. You've been around. Again, right, and Cannabis year has been around like 30 years, so it's pretty good, dude. Keep it up.
Yeah.
Keep up the good work, and we
Thanks,
appreciate
brother.
you coming on, man.
What an absolute pleasure, Sean. I appreciate the opportunity to chat with you. Let's do it again.
It was just a great time. I look forward to doing it again, man. Keep up the good work. And speaking of thanks and great time, today's show brought to you by Green Lane Communications. You want to be a bold leader. You want bold media placement, thought leadership that turns heads, gets you remembered. Green Lane Communications, the place. Mikey and his team. I think Will knows this.
I'm a client.
There's few better. There's few better going.
Yeah.
So remember, check them out.
Mike and his whole team are awesome.
GreenLaneCommunication.com. There they are. Will, thanks a lot. Mikey and the team at Green Lane, thank you. Everyone, have a great week, and we'll do it all again next week. Thanks a lot.
Bye.